So this cable here goes to a sensor down there, and this cable over here goes to a sensor down here. And as Andrew mentioned, there's really no point in leaving them connected if that's the only thing that's keeping me from pulling this transmission out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them, and if I need the sensors, then I will splice the cables back together. So here we have the transmission finally out. Ended up popping the axle out of this side. I don't know if I need a new seal or not. This is the connection for the clutch, including the bracket. I cut this off. I'm not sure what this is. And then I cut this off, and I guess if we end up needing them, I'll connect them again. Other axle, speedometer input, and that's about it, I believe. Anyway, onward. Here we have the fit of the adapter plate and the transmission. Looks pretty good to me. So we're going to do a couple of measurements and then start putting the clutch together with the coupler and get that in there and spinning nice. Get the bolts put in, and then we'll sit the whole unit on its tail. So this will be down, and this will be up, and I won't have any transmission fluid in it, and we'll just spin it at 12 volts and let it center, and then tighten up the bolts. And at that point, we're going to figure out if this thing will fit, or how much of the shaft, if any, I have to cut off. So, assuming that I can get it wiggled in there to begin with, I'm worried about the distance from here, which is the motor mount, to here, which is the passenger side fender. So first, here's the motor coupler. It slides onto here, spins nice. It's the first test. And we're going to add the flywheel. So here we have the motor coupler. We have the flywheel with those bolts there, 6 of them. We'll put in the friction plate. We'll put on the pressure plate. Put on some more bolts. Then we slide that whole unit into the transmission. Make sure all the clearances are good. I tighten the bolts enough, that kind of stuff. So the coupler went on loosely at the back, and wiggled it around until when I turned it to this side, the holes lined up enough for me to put the bolts in. I put the bolts in one at a time, opposite sides, snugged them up hand tight, jiggled again on the other side. When the jiggling didn't work anymore and I was getting pretty close, I used a rubber hammer, just tapped it along here a few times. That worked. Then again, snugged them up hand tight, and now we're gonna just give them a quarter turn kind of thing on 19mm socket, 12 point, and then we will get to putting on the rest of the pieces. Okay, there are pins. These pins in the center in the flywheel, and they only fit in one place on the housing here. You gotta find that way. If the 3 don't line up, you turn it around until they do, and then well, that's how it works. I'm gonna put in the bolts with the lock washers, hand tighten again, opposite sides, and then tighten them up, and we're gonna put it into the transmission and see how it fits. Okay, all nicely together. The nuts put on. We're going to slide this over here on the transmission and see how it works. We are going to try this, see how well it fits. Slides all the way on. Some stuff. real good possibility of getting my fingers munched here. I don't know any other way to do it. So right now, the splines appear to be engaged, but the last little bit is for the bearing. The bearing's not lined up quite perfectly. I'm not sure why, but it's not. Jiggle it off, rotate it just slightly, try it again. Back. Okay, so tap it a little bit, hammer. That's just weird. If I can't get it to engage here, there's no way I'm going to get it to engage when I have the shaft of the motor in here with the Allen keys tightened down. I'm trying to maneuver the whole thing together. There's no way I'm going to get it to go together then if I can't get it to go together now. It's been there. It's tough to see, but the inside part over here, so inside there, around my finger, you can see, or maybe you can't see, the inside part is actually sticking out through the bearing about 1/8 of an inch. So this part here is sticking all the way through that bearing, or that bushing, I guess. And then this part is protruding into here. Okay? So on reassembly, verify that this is nice and snug. This is, the inside is level with the flywheel. All the screws are tightened down, or all the bolts are tightened down. So just trying to make sure that the clutch plate is as centered as I can make it. And then we're going to follow it with the pressure plate. That's about as centered as I can get it. Now putting all the bolts back in and trying again. Trial number 2. I'm going to be putting the flywheel and motor coupler and pressure plate and clutch together here. And this should go in further, and it does. That's excellent. Reaching in here, I find that it engages, and I've got 1/8 of an inch inside, and we've got probably half an inch of metal showing inside the transmission that isn't covered by the flywheel. So I think everything is good there. So we're going to take this off and put it onto the motor, and then try and get them coupled together. So measuring the keyway into the middle of the curve all the way out to the edge. We're looking at 4 centimeters. So probably cut it 3.5, and that'll be good enough. I'm also going to touch it with a file just to make sure that it slides in easy and it isn't the hang up why the coupler won't go in. And there we have the key in the keyway. Slides back and forth, just a little bit of resistance, so it should do quite nicely. So measuring, I'm trying to get an idea of how far out the adapter is sitting. So this is my straight edge, it goes across the face, and from that to the front of that face is about 23.5 millimeters. So if I put everything on the other side, the clutch and the pressure plate and stuff, if I get that all pushed in and I find out that I got 23 millimeters from the edge of the transmission into the face of the flywheel, then I'm good here, and I'll tighten everything up. It looks like I've got quite a bit actually of space that I could go further back. It just doesn't want to go right now. Looks like I have 13 millimeters that I can push this further on, just with my rubber hammer, and I don't want to damage the bearings on the motor, so I'm just tapping fairly lightly. Doesn't want to go on any further. So I guess if 23 millimeters is what I've got on the other side, then it's in the right place, and I'll continue.